So this is some walnut that I used as a clamping caul. There's a little knot here, and I think I've got the grain going the right way on this. Let's back this out. One of the cool things about this plane is it's a corrugated bottom, so it makes it a little bit more lightweight and gives you a little less friction on the boards. But I always keep it's actually a little dog food can with a towel wrapped in it, and the whole thing's been soaked in 3-in-1 oil, and you can put this on your plane, and it's not going to do anything to the wood. I know it seems like it's weird you're putting machine oil on it, but it's perfectly fine. It's not going to do anything to the wood at all. And it just reduces friction. There you go. That's the number 4, and it's actually probably working better than my 5.5. That's my 5.5. This is my Wood River number 4. See, this is the thing with the bedrock. If they have castings are heavier, and you can tell they're flat right here. And then on the inside in the back, there are some extra screw adjustments for the frog. So my Wood River number 4. Your Stanley number 4. So one of the reasons why this plane, in fact I know one of the reasons why this plane was only I think $40 or $45 is you can see, if you look at the bed, you can see there's these little marks. It's called pitting. It's from rust. The thing had been probably really rusted, especially on the bottom. So when there's too much rust for too long, it pits into the cast iron. You can see another example of it here on the blade. This is the original blade. You see the pitting, you can kind of feel it. The powder's from a stone. You can see the pitting. Same thing on the back side. So I'm gonna send this blade with it, but I'm gonna send. I have some of these extra replacement blades that I got off of Amazon, actually, made by a company called Cleostro, and they actually have some planes that they sell on Amazon. I don't know anything about them, but I'd heard really good things about these blades. They're a little bit thicker than the standard blade. This is the replacement, and then this one is the original. So a little bit thicker than the standard blade. It's a little heavier, but I'm probably gonna sharpen up one of these and send with it along with the original blade. You can tell the chip breaker also has some pitting on it as well. I'll wipe this rust off with my little sanding block here. But yeah. So on the back of each blade, I marked a spot to show where I had the honing guide set. So you can see this one down here is for the primary bevel, and then this closer one is for the secondary bevel. And it's probably a little hard to see, but I marked that on both sides of the blade. There you go. So again, the lower one is the primary bevel, and the one closer to the edge is the secondary bevel. And it's sharpening all right. Okay, so this is the number 5. It's I'm pretty sure it was made by Stanley, but it's not branded as Stanley. It's branded as a Ward's Master. And the original blade is actually, or the blade that I bought it with, actually says Ward's Master quality on it. So this is the original blade, and of course this is the original chip breaker because it's labeled, but it's marked on the front, made in USA, and then on the back you can see it says it's 5. The handle on this has been repaired. It's you can feel it was broken, I think, and it was glued back together and then put in place. I think I have another handle, tote, for it, so I may replace this and put a different one on it. Same for the front handle, but like I said before, it's got some of the pitting and stuff on it. This is some sticky residue where I was testing planing, where I took the tape off. There's some residue still on here, so I'll get that cleaned off before I send it. But this is the plane. Got a little dude here, and we'll this edge. There's quite a bit of play between in the adjustment where you know, like this is touching forward, so if I turn it any further to the left, it's going to pull the blade back. But then if I go all the way back to touching right, there's still a little give there. And then this also has some play in it, but that's not horrible. It just means you got to spin it a little bit further, but you'll feel it. especially if the lever cap is tight. When you spin this around, anything you turn it past that, it's going in the direction you're trying to get it to go. But let's see if we got any blades on here. Just get it towards. One other thing that you'll notice that's a little different on this plane versus the number 4 is the lateral adjuster has a lot more play in it too. I'm not 100% sure if this is the original chip breaker. It probably is, but there's just a lot of play in here. When you move this back and forth, it sits in here and adjusts the camber of the blade. But this is kind of loose, and this washer, this disc that's on here, you have to move it a little bit before it makes contact. Which is, it's fine, it works. It's you can just tell that there's some play there, whereas the number 4 won't have that much play. So we'll get this in here, lock this down, and then advance the blade. And this is the purpose of the lever adjuster, or the lateral adjuster, is, you know, when you sharpen the blade, you'll see people like check the blade for square. You'll see them take a, you know, and like check and see if the blade is square across. It doesn't have to be. You don't want it to be like, you know, like a 7-degree angle or a 10-degree angle across the top, but it doesn't have to be square. That's the purpose of the lateral adjuster, is to move it in such a way that you have an equal amount of blade exposed in the mouth across the width of the mouth. And so, I don't know if you know, but if you expose the blade and there's more blade showing on one side than the other, then you push the lateral adjuster in that direction and it cambers the blade the opposite way. This works better actually if you have like a white background to sight down so you can see the blade protruding better. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and this doesn't, you don't even really have to spend a lot of time doing this because you're gonna adjust this when you're planing too, right? So I'll pull the blade back all the way, and then we'll just slowly adjust it. It's a little heavy on the right, so that's a little heavy, so we'll back it up just a little bit. Not too far. The cool thing about the longer plane is it's able to ride over the hills and the valleys, so you could use it to take off the high spots, and then the more high spots you take off, the flatter the surface gets, right? So if I take, like right now, if I take this and run this across, I get a shaving down the whole length of the board, so that's pretty straight, right? But if I take my number 4 here and plane a bunch out of the middle of this, and then I'll actually plane some out of this too. So we'll have a couple of low spots where I'm planing. and then a couple of high spots. So there should be a high spot like right here and high right here, and this should be low and this will be low, and then this right here will be high, right? Now when I run this across, you'll see it take a shaving and then not, and then take a shaving and then not, and then take a shaving. See? Gap, 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 gap. But the longer you do this, it's cresting whenever it's taking the shaving, and then it's cresting these two high points here and here, so the blade's not low enough. So what we continue to do is we take off the high point. Now if I do this again, and I didn't get it all the way down, but that's not the point. If I do this again, take some out of the middle here, take some out of the middle here. This is why a longer plane is better at jointing it, making something straight, because this plane's a lot shorter, so it can only handle high points that are, you know, from here to here. Well, if this whole length is a low point, then it's going to ride into that low point, and you're going to continue to take material out of the entire low point. So I'll make a whole low point that's right. So here, this whole thing is like a low point, right? So if I take this plane and see, I shouldn't get anything through here because I just chunked all this out, but I'm going to get shaving for for a lot of that, right? Because it's digging in there. But if I do this with the 5, it takes see, it's cresting this high point right here. So I can use the longer plane to get the high points to where there aren't any more high points. So eventually, I'm coming across, I'm taking a shaving across the entire length of the board. Well, so that's what the longer plane is good for, but what if my low point is from here to here? Well, that's why you have longer plane. When you lay the number 7 jointer down, now you can see I could put this entire plane inside of a valley that this will crest. Now I haven't done any work with this, so I'm not going to try to plane with it. But if we're in a valley from here, you know, just on the other side of this dog hole to just on the other side of this dog hole, right? If all of this is valley, I can crest all of that because I can literally cover up those dog holes and then some. So the longer plane is used to knock down high points that are further apart. And there's actually, so this is a number 7. There's actually a number 8. I don't remember exactly how long it is, but I want to say it's probably another 4 inches long. I think this is 22 inches. Yeah, 21.5 inches. And then a number 8, I think, comes out to like 25 or 26 inches. So again, big, long plane to get big, long high points for lengthy boards. But this number 5 works pretty well. I'm gonna, when I ship it, I'm gonna put some oil on it, but you'll want to take these apart and rinse them off with probably mineral spirits or paint thinner to get the oil off, because I don't know where they're going to end up. I don't know if they're going to be sitting outside and gathering moisture. I don't want them getting rusted along the way. My little polishing pads here, and I can clean that off. And if I clean it long enough, I can get the whole spot off. or with some, this is like the fine one. But what you can do to kind of protect it in the interim is wipe the oil on here, and the oil is not going to penetrate. Or if you want, I got this little thing here. This is what I'll do to it when I ship it. It's just kind of soak it in there. But that's how you keep it from rusting, being outside or being like in a garage where humidity control is difficult to impossible. Same thing for the bottom. Or this is the whole thing is the bed. A hard time on the spot remembering all the terminology, but this is the cap. This piece is the chip breaker. That's the blade. This is the lock screw. I think it's called the lock screw. And then when I mount this on, I leave about a 1/16 of an inch maybe. You can look all this stuff up on YouTube and probably get more accurate descriptions of what the pieces and parts are. This lever cap, and then the lever adjuster, or the lateral adjuster. All of this on the inside. This is the frog. I think these are the front and rear tote. This is the adjustment knob, and I don't remember what the horseshoe pieces are. And then one thing I didn't check, and I'll check it and see if it's the bottom and the sides should be a 90-degree angle. They don't necessarily have to be, but they should be, and this one's actually not. If it's not square, it should be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, unless you're going to put it on a shooting board, where you would lay the plane down on its side in a groove. And even then, it doesn't really have to be, because you have the lateral adjustment to take care of it, because you're always going to judge 90 degrees, where there's something square on the piece itself, right? So even if this is a little out of square, I would want to make sure it's the same all the way across, so it's flat, but on the edge that you're going to have down. But even this way, I can compensate with an adjustment of the lateral adjuster to push the blade a little bit further in one direction or the other. So if it's like 89 degrees this way, then I could take the lateral adjuster and give more blade at the bottom to compensate. But those are the planes. This is pretty good. I'm gonna see if I can find a handle or tote for this. This is what they would normally look like. These are rosewood. I have some, but none of the pieces that I have are big enough. This wood that I got to do the knife handles with. So the two that I gave away, and what I was going to use for the third knife are Honduran Rosewood, and that's usually what these are made out of. But, and I typed the number 4 and your number 4, and then this number 7, and then also the number 3. And by typing, I mean you can find out what type it is, and by type as in basically manufacturing runs, right? So a type 1 of a plane is the first, as far as I know, is the first run of that plane. And then you have type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5 through the decades, to where you have like type 16, type 17, type 18. And generally, the lower the type number on Stanley's standard planes, the older it is, and they know when each type was made. But I'll go grab that piece of paper real quick and tell you what they were. Be right back. So here I got 5 planes laid out. I found the type information that I looked up last night. But if you go to woodandshop.com, that's the website where they have like a quiz basically where you answer a question. You know, do you see the the size of the plane anywhere in the bed? You say yes or no. How many patent dates are on the lateral adjuster? You know, 1, 2, or 3. Are there any patent dates behind the adjustment knob or behind the frog? 0, 1, 2, or 3. Anyway, so you answer the questions, and then it will kind of narrow down the type information for the plane until you get a final typing, right? So what I found last night, we'll start over here with the number 3. The number 3 is a Type 13, and it was made between 1925 and 1928. So it's pushing 100 years old. It's over 90 years old, and still in pretty good condition. When they say that these things will last a lifetime, they really mean a couple of lifetimes. The number 4, so this one I'm keeping. The number 4 that I'm going to send, it is a Type 18, and it was made immediately post-war, post-World War II, between 1946 and 1947. And it's got some features on it that are a little different than, and I say features, some markings on it that are a little bit different than the other planes that I have. This is the number 5 that I'm going to send you, and while I'm almost certain it was made by Stanley, the site doesn't have typing information for the Ward's master, but the markings on it, if Bailey was cloning something that they already have, with the exception of patent dates on the lateral adjuster, because it's not a Stanley plane, so they wouldn't put Stanley patents on it. It's marked very similarly to my number 5 right here, except that the plane size, like this one says number 5 in the front, and this one actually says it back here in the back, behind the tote. I'm not exactly sure when these were made though. This number 7 that I got, it's a number 7, and it's corrugated, and it's a beast. It's pretty old. It's a Type 8, and these were manufactured between 1899 and 1902. So 120 years old, at least. 120 to 123 years old is this plane. This number 5, I dragged it down. This is mine. I got this from my dad after he passed away a few years ago. He had acquired some woodworking tools and some metalworking tools. I don't exactly know where or even when. He never had them when I was growing up, so he'd gotten them sometime after I moved away and joined the Air Force. And he wasn't a woodworker or a metalworker per se. He would do things as necessary, around the house, but he didn't do a lot of. He certainly didn't do a lot of that in the last probably 10 or 15 years. Probably the last 10 years that he was alive. But anyway, I got this number 5 from him, and this is what I used the first time I used that typing tool at woodenshop.com. And this plane is the old man of the group, where this number 7 was a Type 8 made between 1899 and 1902. This number 5 plane, it's a Type 7, and it was manufactured between 1893 and 1899. So this plane is at least 123 up to 129 years old. So these things, especially the old Stanley planes, and even the newer planes like like my Wood River number 4, or the Wood River 5.5, you know, these things are built to last lifetimes, plural, generations. You know, when this plane was made, and this is the Type 18 number 4, made between 46 and 47. My dad was 4 or 5 years old when this was born. My dad was born in 1943, so he was 3 or 4 years old. I guess math would be a good thing to know. You know, my granddad came home from the war, from World War II, in early 1943, and then late 1943, my dad was born. So, but you know, this is the youngest of the type planes that I have. This plane, when this plane was made, I think my granddad was born in 1921 or 1922. So let's say 1922. So my granddad was 3 to 5 years old, 3 to 6 years old, 3 to 6 years old when this plane was made. Between 1925 and 1928, right? This number 7 from 1899 to 1902, you know, I don't remember exactly when my great granddad was born, but I gotta say he was probably he was around at that point. And then this one, you know, 1893 to 1899. I mean, yeah, that's a long time. I don't even know that my great granddad was born when this plane was manufactured. So these things will last forever if you take care of them. And in fact, some of them last forever even if you don't take care of them. Somebody will restore it and put it back together. But there's, unless you just want a newer plane that has additional features that's heavier or different, you know, this number 4 will last you your entire life unless you decide you want to get the heavier bedrock number 4. And honestly, unless you're collecting them or just want to spend a bunch of money or seriously into doing hand tool woodworking, I don't know that you would ever need to upgrade from this number 4. I don't know a whole lot about this number 5. It seemed to work pretty great when I tested it a while ago, so you may never need to buy a new number 5. You know, I have this 5.5, and it's actually the first nice plane that I ever bought, because I had a couple of block planes, and then I had this number 5. I'll never replace this. This will be passed on to whoever wants it, you know, Leon or Silas or Sage or their kids for that matter, because it's going to be around for a long time. Same with this number 7, you know, I'll never buy another number 7. There's no reason. It's perfectly serviceable, works great. So anyway, these two are the planes that I'm going to send you. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll take them apart and put a good amount of oil in them and wrap them up in plastic so they don't leak through the box, and I'll get them shipped sometime early. So I may actually, since I have them sharpened and working, I may be able to send them on Monday the 21st, because I'm off on Monday, so that ought to be pretty convenient to do. These are your planes. These are my 2 new ones and some of the other ones. So see you later.